takes a lot of courage to go through what we've been through.
The doctors themselves are coming more and more because they say, hey, I'm not the same.
I laid in bed for 6 months with this raging pain.
One of the things that we have to have the courage to do is to act upon the information we have in front of us.
And what's the success of some of these therapies? What are you seeing as the results?
Well, I think what we're seeing is a great deal of promise.
So we need this solution because it will create a cancer from here to 2030.
Hey, it's Jonathan Otto here, and welcome to episode 1 of my brand new documentary series, Healing Revolution. I'm so glad to have you here again as we explore and learn from world-renowned experts the hidden truths about what is in our food supply and why it's impacting our health. Your food is your fuel. Your body and your organ systems can't function without it. We all eat every day, but the difference lies in the quality of the food that we're consuming. Is it rich in essential vitamins and minerals, or is it filled with chemicals, calories, and little to no vitamin content? In today's world, fast foods are available all over the place, from deep-fried foods to sugar-coated pastries and genetically modified crops. Are they really food? It's not even enough to call them processed or junk foods at this point. We've reached a stage where researchers call them ultra-processed foods, and studies are showing that they wreak havoc on your health. For example, a 2019 study found that ultra-processed foods can make people eat more and gain weight. Researchers at the NIH found that when people ate an ultra-processed diet, they consumed more calories without realizing it and ended up gaining weight. And if that isn't bad enough, our water has heavy metals and pharmaceuticals and chlorine poisoning everything good and favorably found in our gut. As the study from Environmental Science Essential as Technology puts it, there are traces of pharmaceutical substances in the municipal water, from antibiotics to antidepressants and hormones all over the United States. The good thing about it is that our body is designed to self-heal. We can reverse the damage once the toxic load is removed. That's where photodynamic therapy, or PDT, offers an exciting breakthrough. It works by combining light with natural substances that react to light, triggering healing at a deep cellular level. Two of the most studied compounds in this space are curcumin, the active ingredient in turmeric, and methylene blue, a synthetic compound with remarkable antibacterial properties. And here's the best part: when methylene blue is applied to the skin, used in a nasal spray or even taken systemically, and then exposed to very specific red light wavelength around 660 nanometers, it becomes supercharged. This reaction helps kill harmful microbes, reduce inflammation, and stimulate the body's natural healing response. Topically, this can be used for skin infections, mouth ulcers, or wounds, typically applied at around 0.5% to 1% concentration and activated with light for 10 to 20 minutes. But it doesn't stop there. Methylene blue can also be delivered internally through diluted IV, nasal spray, gargle, or nebulizer. Once inside the body, it can target deeper infections and inflamed tissues, especially when paired with red light exposure. In fact, studies show that this therapy not only reduces clotting and inflammation, but may also support brain health, energy production, and even mitochondrial function, the very engine room of your cells. This groundbreaking science meeting ancient healing wisdom. And the best part, it's affordable, it's non-invasive, and it puts the power of healing back into your hands. Now, speaking of powerful healing breakthroughs, I want to share with you an incredible interview. You may be familiar with the Joe Rogan Experience, one of the most watched podcasts in the world, and here was an occasion in which Mel Gibson sat down with Joe Rogan to talk about a life-changing treatment that completely turned around his father's health: stem cell therapy. His father was 92 years old, frail, and struggling with severe health issues. But after undergoing stem cell therapy in Panama, he made a dramatic recovery, becoming more energetic, mobile, and mentally sharp. Now, why is this relevant? Because it proves something important. The body has the ability to regenerate when given the right tools. Whether it's stem cells, photodynamic therapy, or removing toxic burdens from the body, we can now see that healing is possible in ways we never imagined. Breakthroughs like this are extremely life-saving, and I wish everyone could know about them because they bring hope to those facing the most devastating diagnoses. Also, what's fascinating about this is that Mel Gibson shared that he had 3 friends that were all stage 4, late stage cancer. They were all basically given a death sentence in that stage 4 is the point of no return. And the fact that they're all cancer free now is shocking. What's more shocking is that they all followed the same process. And then upon questioning, I found something fascinating. Some of the doctors and colleagues that we've been connecting with a lot and that I've been collaborating with were behind these cases. And not even that they were cases that they came to their clinic and they worked on these people and that these people were taken care of at every step of the way. No, Dr. Kalka was the teacher and they were the students, meaning that they learned in the same way you're learning in this film right now, which again puts the power of people back into their own hands. So you want to see this clip, check it out here, and then you'll see that from my interview with Dr. Kalka, that these 3 people that he's referring to were all students of Dr. Kalka. And here's why that's relevant also, as Dr. Kalka shares that and what they did to get better.
I mean, my dad went to World War II. He went to Guadalcanal, right? He got bit by mosquitoes. He had, malaria. Which is interesting to note that he used to take hydroxychloroquine when he get a malaria attack.
Isn't that crazy?
And then when my doctor recommended I get it when I had COVID, they gouged me $800. It used to cost him $30. They wanted $800 for they were gouging.
Well, not only that, when Trump talked about it, then they all of a sudden they demonized it.
Yeah, they laughed.
Yeah, which is crazy because it's an antiviral.
It works.
Yeah, it works on malaria.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
people have been taking it forever.
Sure, pregnant women can take it if they have the flu, and it doesn't hurt the baby. It's pretty safe. It's like ivermectin.
But that's what's so bizarre about the time that we just went through, because there's more information now available to people instantaneously than ever before.
Yeah.
You look it up on your phone, instantly know, ivermectin, the guy who created it won the Nobel Prize.
Yeah. 2014 or something. Yeah.
15. Yeah, for use in human beings.
Yeah.
Who's running this thing?
And it's harmless. And it wasn't made for horses. It was made for people. And then they used it for horses.
Right.
So
well, it's like saying penicillin is for horses because they use that on horses too. Like, that's stupid.
They told me it was for moldy bread.
That's what it was from, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a lot of medications used on animals, too. You can't say it's a veterinary medication just because it's also used on animals.
No, that's true.
It's been used on, literally prescribed billions of times on human beings.
Yeah, it's like the stem cell stuff. They started using it on horses with emphysematic lung conditions, racehorses, because they would bleed. And they got the stem cells from the umbilical cords of their offspring, injected it into them, and it healed their lungs, which is part of my story. Because I smoked for 45 years and I couldn't stop. I don't believe that there is anything that can afflict mankind that hasn't got a natural cure for it. I think that there has to be. It just makes sense to me. Now, I couldn't prove that, but I just believe that.
Yeah.
That there's got to be something that cures things. And I'll tell you a good story.
Okay.
I have 3 friends. All 3 of them had stage 4 cancer. All 3 of them don't have cancer right now at all. And they had some serious stuff going on.
And what did they take?
They took what you've heard they've taken.
Ivermectin.
Fenbendazole.
Fenbendazole, yeah.
That stuff.
Yeah, I'm hearing that a lot.
They drank hydrochloride something or other.
There's studies on that now where people have proven that
people
they've
drinking methylene blue and stuff like that.
Yeah, methylene blue, which was a fabric dye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a textile dye. And now they find out it has profound effects on your mitochondria.
Yep.
Yeah.
This stuff works, man.
There's a lot of stuff that does work, which is very strange because, again, it's profit. When you hear about things that are demonized and that turn out to be effective, you always wonder, well, what is going on here? How is our medical institutions, how have they failed us so that things that do cure you are not promoted because they're not profitable? That they can't control it. They don't have a patent on it, whether it's vitamin D, K2, and magnesium,
Well, yeah. I'm doing
zinc
all
and
that,
quercetin.
I do all that stuff.
I do all that stuff.
Do you do the saunas too?
Oh,
do you
yeah.
do the red light bed?
I have a red light bed, yeah. I have a sauna, red light bed. I have a hyperbaric chamber.
Wow.
I have everything.
Okay. Hyperbaric chambers are the best, man.
It's incredible.
Good brain
Incredible.
work. I got to get back in there. I
Oh.
feel like I got more holes in my head.
It's phenomenal for just overall recovery for everything, and it's also been shown to lengthen telomeres. They did a study out of Israel. They gave people a protocol over 90 days. You do 60 sessions of 90 minutes over 90 days, and it's shown to lengthen telomeres and decrease your biological age.
Okay.
And you just feel fucking great.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, you're flooding your body with oxygen. Most diseases, a lot of them, come from a lack of oxygen. You know, your body not having enough oxygen is very bad for you.
Hey there guys, I'm so excited. Thank you for joining me in Healing Revolution. This is something that's so near and dear to my heart because seeing people's lives get better is why I'm doing this. It's a bittersweet experience sometimes. Today was a tough day because I get those calls from people that are friends, family, people connected to some of the doctors I'm working with that often don't really know exactly how to deal with some really challenging late stage cancers. I get a reach out, and then I'm on calls where people are giving their patients hours, minutes to live, like really severe cases. I had one of those today. It was really heartbreaking to see people in this desperate state. Nevertheless, the response is never to give up, and thankfully we're able to give treatments and administer them, and often secretly, which is something that I've got to even be careful with talking about, but I'm just not going to hold back. And so we're administering treatments of chlorine dioxide solution there in the hospital, and that was what these people are doing. I'm just a friend connecting and advising based on some connections from some actually well-known and famous doctors that wanted my help on those particular cases. But the reason why I bring this up is because that if only those people had some of these solutions sooner, and there'd be less desperation, and they wouldn't even potentially be in a hospital setting, in this case with stage 4 cancer, given really no time left to live. Look, the call I got was one of those desperate ones where he's out in the car trying to get something for his sister. I'm not going to give names. These are actually quite famous and connected people. And he's wondering whether he can even get back to the hospital in time to make sure that he can administer these treatments to his sister. And last night I was talking with the mother and the son of this woman. These things break my heart, and it gives me all the more reason to say to you, when you have the opportunity to be able to take a treatment, a solution, and to be able to apply it, that's your opportunity, that's your time, that's your moment. And I'm encouraging you to take that moment that's in front of you right now, and that is to take your health into your hands, take control of your health, and do not give up, do not postpone things that you know could help you. Don't put them off. If you have the opportunity to get toxins out of your body, if you have the opportunity to recharge and revitalize your cells and regulate your ability to detoxify your body, to be able to up the voltage in your cells, then do that now while you have the opportunity. Don't wait. And the reason why I bring this up is, as we're screening Healing Revolution for free, we have an amazing opportunity for you to take these amazing tools that we're giving to you, with the ability to take a supplement protocol that we're giving as a free gift, and as well as an amazing opportunity to get red light therapy, both the supplements and the red light therapy, as free as part of an amazing package that we have. And the way that this works is that during this screening, you get to watch this free. And you can rewatch the episodes during each of the episodes as they're airing for 24 hours each. And this is what allows us to get this information out. This is what allows us to be able to reach as many people as possible. Then when you support our mission and you help yourself and get the tools you need for your health, you're helping us to be able to do this work that we're doing right now. You're fueling us to be able to reach all the people that we reach for free with these tools, with these teachings. You take something like chlorine dioxide solution, or even some things that we'll discuss in later episodes. I won't go into them. They're free therapies. They're things that people can do from home. There's other things that you can get there, and they're close to free. When you have a red light therapy device, now you have treatments in your home for free, continually, for arguably the rest of your life, because these devices last a very, very long time based on rated lifespans. And this is why I'm so excited to bring you this unique opportunity with Healing Revolution. You have the opportunity to get a 60-day protocol that has 8 supplements that we're giving them to you as free gifts. I'm going to share with you what is in this protocol package. These supplements, these tools are actually activated by light. And so this goes together perfectly with something that we've never done before, which is to give you a red light therapy device, in this case, a belt. And these are devices that we sell every day for $300 and even more per device. but we're giving it as a free gift in the package. So when you claim your package, you're paying for this content, the material, the resources, the DVD, the videos, the online access, as well as the printed book, all of these important materials, the master classes. This is what you're getting. And when you claim this and you make your purchase, you're getting the supplements, even the master classes and the red light therapy belt as free gifts. So here's why I'm encouraging you to claim this right now. It's because it's so effective. The program is perfectly designed. It's designed to work. And that's why people seek after me to help them with their health, whether it's doctors, world-leading clinics. I was just here actually educating a lot of the world's top doctors, famous people that actually call in these doctors to help on cases. And here they were having me advise them on how best to work with their patients and add in therapies that they are not yet familiar with or have known about but not known how to implement them. And so I'm grateful to be in a position where I can help and offer solutions, and actually in many cases volunteer my time. I really do choose to give my time away because it just feels like the best thing. And so the protocols are perfectly designed. So we've got the supplement protocols that help to detox the specific poisons that are in people's bodies today. And I would say arguably universally so. We're seeing that this is systemic, and this is why we're using these revolutionary products with Well of Life, a parasite detox with Para-Free Detox, which is an amazing formula. You've got Gut Flora Pro, you've got the 15-day cleanse, kidney support, gut repair 360, the gut cleanse plus liver support, an additional bottle of Para-Free Detox and nattokinase, which is an enzyme that helps to break down poisons in the body. So it's a profound protocol, and what you'll find with each of the ingredients, which you can read about on the page, each of them have a different activation at various different wavelengths of light. And we've added into this both red and near infrared with the red light therapy belt, which you get for free with the supplement protocol. The supplement protocol is valued at over $400, $422. The red light therapy belt, which is valued at over $400. Again, you're getting that, and we're selling it regularly, even on discount for $300. You're getting that as a free gift. So that is an amazing protocol, and they work together so powerfully well. And that's because as you're using these protocols, let's say with parasite cleansing, one thing that most people don't know is that red light is the most effective thing to activate the anti-parasitic properties, like whether it's with, in this case, natural plant botanical. So you're dealing with natural substances you can take without being worried of any downside. And there are things where there are debates around ivermectin and fenbendazole, and it's not even a debate. It is heavy on the liver, especially fenbendazole as an example. I'm not advocating against them. I think that the benefits of removing parasites are so important that people should consider these various therapies. But when you're using natural plant-based formulas, they are so safe and they're so effective, and they're activated by light in the body. Red light itself, I actually just read a case study today from somebody that used this red light therapy belt, which I'll show you here. She had used this effectively to eliminate a parasite, just the belt itself. And so that's an example, let alone when you're using it with the herbs. And this has the ability to be used in many different settings. Like, so you can put it on any area of your body, and wrapping around the belly, the waist, a sore shoulder. People, people are even putting it over their head and face, and you could really use this liberally how you want. It's about getting red light therapy to your body, and it's easy to use. You could be sitting and watching Netflix or Amazon Prime, or watching a show from me, and you just got this strapped on while you're watching. You're healing while you're just watching and doing nothing. It's amazing. And without having to travel anywhere, red light therapy will typically cost between $80 to $200 a session. You don't have to be paying continually when you've got a red light therapy device in your home, and you're putting it over the affected areas. You can keep moving it around to the affected areas while you're sitting there with the timer that it has on it. It'll time out at 30 minutes. Then you can put it on the next area, rotate it around the body as you wish, or just have it in one area of the body and have that treatment as your session. As you can see, I'm moving up the dial here. I can put it on L4, which is the highest setting. And so you'll get used to and familiar with this, and you could start using this to get the health and healing you deserve. And with this, you've got both the red at 660 and the infrared, which is near infrared, at 850. And these, again, will be extremely powerful and activating these powerful supplements that are working on gut healing and cleansing the liver and the kidneys, as well as helping you with removing parasites, supporting the gut flora. Microbiome is extremely sensitive, and a good way to light therapies that help to replenish and revitalize the the microflora, which in this case is the microbiome, as well as, of course, the mitochondria. And so putting this over the critical organs, your red blood cells don't have mitochondria, which doesn't mean that it should be exposed all around the body, but most importantly, it's over your vital organs, your thyroid, your brain. And the studies on thyroid health are amazing when people are even just using the red light therapy over their thyroid, let alone if they're supporting other areas of their body, their gut, the cerebellum, which has the most amount of concentration of mitochondria, hundreds of thousands per cerebellum brain cell. These are how you combine supporting these essential organ functions, and you can get the best possible healing results. So combine this formula. And one of the things I need to say with this belt and with the formulas, they are based on availability. So claim them while they're available. We obviously will not have, nobody has unlimited supplies, and we have invitations for hundreds of thousands of people watching this series. And so it's why I'm encouraging you, claim it while it's available. Grab your kit today and get these as free gifts so that we can help you, support you. My greatest joy is in seeing you get results and getting you results using our products. We've seen people use the belts to turn around. I can't make claims, but I can say that I've seen people with all different kinds of conditions, with pain throughout their body and various areas of their body, or with all certain different types of diagnoses. I've seen people with eyesight issues, even people in their mid-90s that you would not think they could get results, but they're using our red light therapy devices, especially our belt, to get tremendous results. And even though you would think about it being localized to that area, it's systemic. When you put red light in the body, it will go throughout the body. And that's one of the most powerful things that people should understand. It's part of the reason why some companies have devices that just go around the wrist, because they know it's pulsating throughout the body because blood circulates. That's an example. But with that kind of surface area, this is the best type of thing. It's a far bigger surface area to cover. And again, when you're claiming something like this for free, you'll know that there's a lot of people that are excited about this, claiming this gift. And so don't miss out. Grab it while it's here, while it's available, and use this for your pathway to health and healing. Grab it today. And as well, you'll be getting the uncensored expert-led masterclasses, which is health beyond the system, why true wellness doesn't have to be expensive. It's amazing value. You can see the values there, typically around $500, $400 per masterclass. Healing from the earth, the power of herbs, plants, food, and water for lifelong health. Building a cancer-resistant body, how immunity, nutrition, and lifestyle matter, and the secret science of healing, the truth about alternative therapies. So you're getting all of those. It's worth over $1,700. They're all free gifts for you. The 9 Healing Revolution books: Toxic Trap, Infested, Pots, Sick Prophets, What's Lurking in Your Walls, Chemical Cuisine, Invisible Wars Inside Your Body, Born Healthy, Injected Sick, and BioShield, as well as the 2 live recordings of the question and answer sessions, a 5-part mini-series detoxing the modern world, clearing heavy metals, EMFs, and glyphosate for vibrant health, as well as you'll be getting our 10-day Healing Revolution challenge, which is live Monday through Friday, which will start immediately after the screening of the series, as well as our 60+ full-length interviews. You'll get the full uncut interviews and the transcripts, as well as the 12 brand new Healing Revolution episodes, which includes the physical items, the flash drive, the printed transcripts, as well as the digital items, and the 12 brand new Healing Revolution bonus episodes, which includes the online videos, the transcript PDFs, and the MP3 downloads. It's all here for you, but it's a matter of you saying yes to yourself, claiming these amazing and wonderful, great gifts. And remember, this value is worth over $4,800. You're getting it as free gifts, as well as on the core package, you're getting a 77% off discount. So it's the time to claim it. It's going to be revolutionary for your health. And all you have to do is scroll down this page, even right now, pause the video, scroll down, claim the gifts while they're available, and then enjoy the gift of healing. Give this gift to yourself. And like I mentioned, don't wait until you're in a situation where things are really difficult to turn around. Do it now. Even in these cases, we can have results, and we're seeing tremendous results, but it's not worth waiting. Your health is worth it, and seeing you with health and vitality is the thing that brings me so much joy. So claim that gift for you and your family by getting these tools. And remember, with something like a belt like this, and I'll just turn it on again, this is not just for you, it's for everyone you love and care about. It's It's got a great lifespan to last decades, and what you could do is just put, send it around the family. You apply it to different areas of the body, but send it around the family. Get you and your spouse and whoever you've got close in your life, use this together, because it's not just for one person. It takes a tribe to create healing, and we can use this for our loved ones. So use these tools for your health, for your healing, and claim it here on this page by just scrolling down this page and placing your order today. Thanks so much. Our first speaker is Dana Rosenkranz, a medical physicist, a scientist who spent over 20 years working in oncology, helping cancer patients through some of the hardest moments of their lives. She thought she understood cancer until she was diagnosed herself. That moment changed everything. Dana went from being the expert to the patient, and what she uncovered along the way left her with more questions than answers. Despite getting regular mammograms, something had been missed. And when she started digging deeper, she discovered shocking truths about what might have been fueling her cancer all along. This is more than just a personal story, it's a wake-up call. Because if someone like Dana, with all her knowledge, could be blindsided by this, what does this mean for the rest of us?
My name is Dana Rosenkranz. I am a doctor in medical physics. I'm a radiation therapist, medical physicist, if you want to put it this way. And I really love what I'm doing. I thought that I have a very deep understanding of the cancer world. But so little did I know until I had my own cancer. I had to deal with my own cancer. So I am a breast cancer survivor, 2 years into my survivorship. And I look at cancer with completely different eyes now, not as just a provider, but also as a patient. My cancer was diagnosed in 2021. So most of my life, I've been very healthy, or at least whatever medical condition I would have, I would always kind of put it behind and, not let that overwhelm me. So I really didn't make a whole lot of connections with anything that went on in my body. When I was about 30 years old, I was diagnosed with fibrocystic disease in my left breast, the same breast that I got cancer. So at that point, the doctors, the radiologists always said, hey, you really need to keep up with yearly mammograms. So, and in which I did. Sometimes I would even have 2. I had a pretty bad fibrocystic disease. Nobody really knew why. Some radiologists were suspecting I must have been having like a heat in my breast or an accident, some sort of a mechanical impact. And it probably was something like that. I was always kind of like a tomboy, climbing trees and climbing fences when I grew up. So always with bruises on me, so there's no telling. But that year when I was diagnosed, the radiologist said, I don't like the margins of your fibrocystic disease. It starts looking speculated. So that speculated word, it has quite a bit of an impact in oncology. So I was like, they even advise do not have mammograms or anything like that because you might have some wrong signals going on. So I took it kind of on myself and said, I want a different kind of imaging to really prove that what the radiologist thinks is what it is. So I didn't really want to go into biopsy without knowing for sure this is cancer. So the only other alternative, if you don't do biopsy, was to do an MRI. The problem with the MRI is they don't pay the MRI because of the insurance, stepping. So you have to be diagnosed first and then they cover the MRI. But I really didn't care. I mean, you talk about my body now. So I went and got an MRI. And sure enough, my fibrocystic disease, light up like a Christmas tree. what was very interesting to me is that, after I finally accepted the biopsy, and then after surgery, the pathology report showed a 2.6 centimeter tumor, which that just like shocked me, because a mammogram should be sensitive enough to pick up like millimeter size of tumor. Now you talk about centimeters. That's quite large tumor. It's still kind of a mystery to me. Is that a real size of a tumor, or is this kind of the cancer fill up the old fibrocystic disease cavity, and the actual density of that cancer it's maybe comparable with something millimeter size? I do not know, and nobody really knows that. But if you look in some of the oncology reports and things like that, at 2.6, 2.7 centimeter tumor, it really kind of takes about 10 years to grow, depending on the nature of the cancer. But so you're sitting there wondering, in so many years, was I missed? Am I a miss? So I didn't want to really think too much about that, because that can wear you out to no end, and you are at the beginning of your journey with cancer, and you need all your resources to get the strength to keep going, because it's a pretty big deal. Like, cancer can shatter you down. Now, for me, this is what I do. I work with cancer, so I look at it with completely different eyes, and to me, it's kind of only a two-way road. You're either going to look at it with everything inspirational that cancer can bring, and yes, cancer can bring a lot of inspiration, or you're going to look at it with everything that is negative, like all this, ending that is now very close, and all this big train of negativity, thoughts. So I did not want to take that route. So I always look at cancer with everything inspirational, because, guys, I have to tell you, I see this inspiration on an everyday basis. So I got about 9 things that this program revealed to me, that it was like an eye opener. Number one, I did about 4 or 5 major tests. The program is so well built that once that you enroll with them, they send you at home. They are partnered with this laboratory that runs this test, and they are sending home these kits. This is one thing that it's very positive joining this program. It's very comfortable. I'm a very busy person. I'm in OR at 5 o'clock, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And then I treat patients. I'm in a patient environment all the way to 8, 7 o'clock in the night. So I'm extremely busy. If I have to take some time off, to do something, I have to take a day off to disconnect. So for me, it was very challenging to find a group that kind of meets my program level, my activities. So with them, everything is online. And do not go into the mindset that's online. I want to see my doctor face to face. What are you going to do if you see your doctor face to face? You're going to see your doctor face to face through a computer. So that's completely wonderful for me, because you can be sitting on your chair. You don't have to go nowhere. You don't have to drive nowhere. So it's very, very comfortable from that aspect. The kits are coming at home. They're very easy to follow the procedure, what to have to do. Only on maybe 1 or 2, I had to actually drive to a blood drawing station, but they are everywhere. Some of them are even coming to your home and draw the blood. So if you are very, very sick and you cannot be transported, you can schedule that as a mobile blood drawing. Once that the kits are sent out, the reports are coming through your iPhone or your application. like a patient portal. They have some sort of a patient portal. And then you're going to start seeing your coaches. What kind of things did I get out of the reports that I had no idea? So I run a report that was environmental contamination. Some of the things that were absolutely out of this roof was I was poisoned with arsenic and high level of BPA on everyday basis. If you guys don't know about arsenic, except that it's a poison, very bad poison for you. Arsenic half-life, so basically at what point the amount of, let's say if you take 10 grams of arsenic, is that potent, how long? The half-life, it's half of the life of this arsenic will decay in 10 hours. So basically, after 20 hours, you eliminate that arsenic. However, because the bar was so out of the norm, that tells us that I was consuming that on a daily basis. So I was like, whoa, where do I get arsenic on a daily basis? And then guess where I was getting that? Water. So, and I'm thinking, water, this is crazy. So, of course, I'm checking my water at home. My water at home is going through 6 type of osmosis filters. So I have a regular osmosis, it's the drinking water. And then my entire water line is going through 3 big filters. So I was really doubting that my water at home was contaminated in that level. And again, when you check your water, do not go and get some sort of a strips. And no. That's kind of a silly kind of testing. You have to go to like a regular professional water service. And so it's expensive. It's not a cheap test that you do, but they are very thorough. I don't even know. I think it was like 300 elements that they were checking the water. And so again, this is all online. You pay the fee, and then the kit comes home, and then you send your water samples. My water at home, thank goodness, it was free of arsenic and BPA. No any levels to be concerned. And then I was thinking, okay, if it's not at home, where is it? And then I realized, whoa, wait a minute, my crazy schedule. I'm at work all day long. I'm drinking the water at work. So that was the moment that I went and bought me a big stainless steel container, and I'm carrying all the water from home on a daily basis, and I'm drinking exclusively out of that jug. And guess what? My arsenic and BPA is gone. The Texas, just think about it. It's so hot that those big Sparklet or Ozarka or any of these big water filter companies, they take their bottles, and where do they store them? I don't know if they have a refrigerator type of a big warehouses. So as soon as that water is heated up in that plastic bottle, even if sometimes those bottles might be BPA free, I have highly doubts about that stuff. So you have to be aware about drinking water from plastic bottles. And I know this slogan is been on the internet left and right. But how many times do you really process that? Until I saw my name on that piece of paper and my bar of arsenic was way out, out of specs, I did not process that. So I'm so glad that I'm free of arsenic and BPA. But that constant inflammation, that's one thing your immune system is going to react to. Okay, what else? They did a very thorough testing of my microbiome. I have horrible microbiome. And I'm like, how? But I can eat anything. Well, that's the problem. You don't realize because you are so inflamed that you learn to live with that pain. How many people learn to live with lower back pain, with, bone inflammation, arthritis? And I mean, you learn to live with that pain. So I did not even realize that my bloating, my everyday bloating was something abnormal because I was thinking, oh, well, I'm just bloating and that's my nature. No, it's not. You're not supposed to be like that. And I know the chemo really affected my lining in my gut because, it's just something that it's listed on the first side effect. When you take chemo, it really burns out your lining. So I have a very high microbiome imbalance. So the good bacteria versus bad bacteria, it's not in balance to the point that I had leaky gut. I was contaminated with 6 types of molds. I was so fascinated about this program that I made my husband to take some of these tests as well. But luckily, he is not contaminated with mold. So that tells me that the house that we live in, I think we are safe in it. You can go and test your house. I think is the environment that I grow up as a young child. We had all kind of mold each there. So, or, it could come from the mother line. I mean, this thing can be transmitted from mother to child. So my cholesterol was out of the roof. I had brain fogging, but you might say that's because of chemo. I had a horrible body inflammation. And I think this is what triggered me to look for more options because after chemo, for breast cancer, they put you on a hormone blocker pill that you have to take every day for about 5 to 10 years. And this hormone blocker cuts off all the estrogen in your body. So the estrogen is still produced, but it's not capable to bind and be useful to your body. So unfortunately, only a part of the estrogen is directly related to causing the cancer and not all the estrogen. But, unfortunately, the pill does not look at just that part. It kind of cuts all the estrogen absorption and you have major side effects like body inflammation, your joint hurts. It's a really bad pill. But you have to take it. At that point, I'm like, okay, if I cannot perform my regular, things like I like to walk, I like to run, I like to do a lot of outdoor activities. What am I going to do for 5 years? So that was kind of the point where I said, I got to look for something. How can I lower the body inflammation so I can still take the pill, but maybe there's some other things in my body that contributes to all this cumulative effect of inflammation. So that's when I really start looking and find this program. So the testing showed that I am gluten intolerant. And that's a really big thing. The gluten sensitivity nowadays can be, it's related to almost over 300 side effects. 300. And the program has a really good training kind of, it kind of teaches people how to deal with gluten and, what it does to you, what exactly gluten is. Very informative. And it was an awakening. I immediately switched on gluten-free diet. I could feel a difference. Within a week, it was amazing. And I can tell now I don't have any pain in my body. My bloating is considerably low. The mold, it start coming down. It's something that is hard to strip off, but the bar that was way out the tolerance, it's coming down. My cholesterol is back in specs. My microbiome, it start building up. I'm really thrilled about it. I'm really thrilled about it. I can't even tell you enough about it.
Yeah, I'm here with Tom, again in Western Canada, and he has a testimony that you'd like to share with us? Tell him what he's been doing with MMS.
I reunited with a friend a couple of years ago, about a year and a half ago. She was getting pretty close to on her deathbed. She hadn't been diagnosed with any condition. It was like rheumatoid, lupus, 24/17. She was on experimental medication, experimental drugs. So her kidneys were pretty well shutting down. She was go on dialysis. She was probably as pale as a ghost. She had to be carried everywhere. She's 42. 42. She can maybe work 1 day a week. Wow. Barely. She said she was looking for miracles. And so I Googled miracle.
You Googled miracle. I like that.
Yeah, came up. This was something new. And got James the books. I read those. Yeah, a friend of mine brought it up, Mirror for Mineral Solutions, so it's kind of confirmation. Anyway, so she was these drugs were on her, there's no question. So I told her, so I did I made CDS, got all the stuff, made CDS.
The old wig?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least it was in the summer.
Yeah.
I opened up the windows and fans.
So easy now.
Yeah.
Like the CBS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, she has a nursing background. So it's kind of tough getting around. Still is in some ways, getting around that thinking. That was the biggest block. And anyway, I gave her enough CDS. I told her the Call 1000 take.
Okay.
She was not consistent with it. But what she did do over the course of 21 days, and it was just about on dialysis. Over 21 days, I figured from what I gave her, she averaged about 3/4 of a dose per day. And her kidneys were normal.
Normal after how long? 21 days. So no dialysis.
No.
It's great.
Her doctor's assistant called her and says, we have some news. It's exciting news.
It's exciting news, but we don't know what. Yeah.
And I said,
we don't know why.
I said, do they know why? She says, no, they didn't get a response. I says, did you change your diet? You do anything different?
No, that's good.
So, yeah, her kidney bounced right back to normal. 21 days. Yeah, she's on some supplementation, but
Kidneys are fine. You gotta get her off the other stuff now.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, slowly. But as you detox, it finds out you end up wanting to get out those. Just like we've had people that are addicted to drugs. They go through the protocol and then they want to do the drugs and you, wow.
Yeah, what I found and big reason I came here to this one was to find out where you guys want to diet. So it's really relevant for myself as well. I got my own stories, but yeah, I mean that's the other part of it.
Sure.
We're detoxing, but make sure
build up the immune system, give the body the essential things it needs to be strong. And we tell everybody, this is what cures. MMS is the detox and killer, cleaner. This is what cures. Fill this up, you don't need anything. And
yeah, both sides.
Sure.
Tom's testimonial is just one of many from Dr. Andreas Kalka's practice. And it's not just his practice, it's the fact that he's put out educational materials that have been accessible to all around the world for free, and they exist, people are learning from them, or practically free, and we're sharing resources like Voedia, voedia.com, that you can get a $19 book that is a game changer, which is 800 pages, interactive, multimedia, and again, something that they could charge thousands of dollars for, but that book is priceless. And I mean, this is really getting this therapy into the hands of people for free, instead of charging them hundreds of thousands of dollars for these types of therapies that can be done for free, which chlorine dioxide is practically a free therapy. It really costs next to nothing, like $20 for a few months or a year's worth, depending on how you use it with the MMS or CDS, etc. But this is really a game changer. I want you to see this. I want you to know how to use this And it's one of the things that we're putting quite a lot of energy in showing you these treatments so that people can understand this therapy and access it for themselves. This really just goes to show the power of protocols like chlorine dioxide. Even though Big Pharma is trying their very best to censor this healing protocol to the point where people are going to jail for even talking about chlorine dioxide, and especially for selling it and for doing both of those things, educating and selling it. People like Mark Grennan, his 3 sons, tragic. And thankfully there's been some justice here, but still, there are still members of this family that are in jail to this day. And he's not the only one. There are many people that have undergone this kind of harsh persecution for such a noble cause. One thing that we know is that it works. It's effective. It's incredibly effective, and it's saving lives. Take Gina Oliveros, for example. In 2019, Gina received a devastating diagnosis, stage 4 glioblastoma multiforme, a terminal brain tumor located in the 3rd ventricle. To make matters more complicated, she was pregnant at the time. Doctors strongly advised her to terminate the pregnancy, warning of serious complications, but Gina stood her ground. She chose to carry her baby to full term. After a failed surgery attempt, Gina's sister began searching as best as she could for alternatives, and that's where they discovered MMS. Gina started the treatment during pregnancy, and after giving birth, despite experiencing seizures, the family was introduced to CDS through Luz Del Mar. They made the switch. Though she initially developed a fever, what followed was nothing short of extraordinary. Gina began improving. Even after a relapse a year later raised doubts, the family held firm. They continued using CDS, this time combining it with traditional therapies like radiation and chemo. And here's the incredible part, not only did Gina complete treatment without complications, but she also retained full cognitive function, something almost unheard of in such cases. The tumor, it kept shrinking, and on her final visit to the neurosurgeon, the mass was completely gone. And again, this is one of many stories from people who have followed Dr. Kauka's approach to natural wellness. Now, in regard to this case and people using conventional therapies, these are very personal choices, and people should really do what they feel called to do, what they feel that they should personally do. It's different for everyone, and in those situations, those are the decisions that you're faced with. And for me, chemo would not be, at this point of me looking into it, not be something that I would choose, or radiation. But when people do these, the best thing to do is to support them with other therapies like what Gina did, and look at the results she achieved. The other thing is as well, what I always try to encourage people is if they're going to do chemo, is to look at insulin potentiation therapy, which is combining insulin with the chemo cocktail, which causes that to be 10 to even 20 times less toxic, and so people don't get nausea or lose appetite or lose their hair, etc., etc. And yet they are able to even be more specific and more effective with targeting the cancer with the combination of insulin with the chemo. So these are examples of lessening the toxicity of the chemo without taking away from the efficacy and how it could potentially support some people. That being said, with therapies like chlorine dioxide, red light therapy, and many other amazing therapies, these are certainly things that I believe that all people should look into, to look at how they can achieve better health, to look at how they can overcome these issues naturally, and certainly understand that they always have all options at all times, but to go for the most natural first and to stay with those unless they see any reason to pivot. That's certainly an approach that many people would see as being an effective way forward. Up next, we hear from Dr. Andreas Kauka. He spent years researching what really causes disease, and more importantly, how we can heal naturally. What he's uncovered is something I've seen time and time again. Toxins, infections, and environmental poisons are wreaking havoc, breaking down our health. They're behind so many of the chronic illnesses we see today: cancer, autoimmune conditions, neurological disorders. But here's the part that gives me hope. Dr. Kauka has discovered chlorine dioxide, CDS, a substance that has been proven to have remarkable healing benefits. His research has helped thousands of people detox, rebuild, and reclaim their health. But instead of being celebrated, he's been silenced. Not because his work isn't effective, but because it threatens the industries built on keeping people sick. Dr. Kauka isn't backing down. He's here to share what he knows, and if you've ever felt like there had to be another way, this is it. I'd like to come over to your work with autism. Can you talk any more about what you're seeing with children with autism? Some would argue there's a certain age by which maybe they can't get any better at that point. But are you seeing cases where even children are older, and are you seeing complementary therapies work, and still cases of people having reversal of these conditions?
Well, the earlier the better. I have to tell that. That's the truth. For example, if it's before the puberty, it's better. After puberty, it's more complicated. But I can tell you, we have, 2 or 3 cases I know from with over 30 years. But autism is a complex thing, I have to say. It's much more complex than cancer. But we have hundreds of recovered kids. So you can see them in the Oxytube too. And I remember the kid, the ATAC was 158. 158. This is far from everything, no speaking, banging the head till it bleeds every day, shouting 9 hours a day and so on. Awful. One of the worst. And he's now a normal kid that is speaking and playing with the sister and discussing with the sister and yes and no. And you will see, you can see the video there. So and we have many videos, not only him. And we have many more. But these are the brave mothers that want to come out. This is the other point. We have people in America too. Yeah, but you cannot say nothing because the FDA and so they will take your kid away and all that stuff. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. And in Germany too. People have to take the health in their own hands. And this is where I'm standing for. And taking health in your own hands means learn about it. Don't trust no one, not even me. Read it, learn it, experience it. And once you experience it and you say, wow, that works, So actually my work, what is my work? My work is to teach to our students, that mostly are doctors, therapists, and many, many others too.
Wow. And so now with cancer and with turbo cancers, are you seeing people get results even with these turbo cancers? Have you seen examples of this, and what protocols are they using?
Yeah, not even, especially with them, because what comes fast goes fast. A long-term cancer is much more difficult to recover than the turbo cancer. Basically, what is it? We have a chronic inflammation, and this chronic inflammation creates an acidity, and the acidity creates cancer cells. And the cancer cells, well, they try to survive. They can't because they're in a bad environment. It's like the environment is a problem. I tell to my students many times, how do you cure a fish? You want to make a surgery on a fish? No problem. What you have to change the water or make the water, the environment of the fish makes him ill, not the fish itself. So our body is exactly the same. If we have inside one organ that is affected, it's because the environment is bad. So, and this is a part of our teachings, because what we teach is electromolecular medicine. It means you basically have 2 components, protons and electrons, nothing else. You don't need 5,000 different illnesses. That's more lucrative because you can make an invoice on each. But you have protons and electrons, and if you have an excess proton, it means it's too acid, you have to compensate with the electrons on the other hand, or the other way around, depending on which point. But basically, you need an equilibrium, and chlorine dioxide is a very, very simple substance. It's a gas that is dissolved in water that decays to salt and oxygen, nothing else. And this decay process inside the body is only and absolutely only where there is a problem, where there is acidity, cations, for the ones that want to know. So where there's acidity, it travels to the body, there's the acidity, and it eliminates it. If it's a virus, a fungus, a bacteria, he don't care, So for example, they can throw it as the Ebola, they can throw whatever. Doesn't matter, they have no chance. Chlorine dioxide actually can do that. And we had people at the time in Africa from Japan, actually a very brave guy. And that treated the people in the Ebola area that was totally locked up, where nobody could go in, and he went in and helped the people and saved a lot. Yes, it works in Ebola too. Actually, chlorine dioxide is the substance when you are in a lab. This is not a high security lab, that's a standard lab. But if you're high security labs, the doors on the other side, the gas that flows down is, if you have the helmet on and there's nothing comes out, it's chlorine dioxide. There's no chance for any virus, any anger. And why our cells are not affected by it? Because of size. It's so simple. A virus is so small, and the cell is like all the room. So it's for example, if you have a little cotton ball, you make a match and it burns immediately. This is a virus. But if you have a big trunk of a sequoia tree, try to put a match on. No way. So it's exactly the same. So it's about electromolecular charges. And this is an interesting thing. Chlorine dioxide is the only one that is actually basically very, very near, even below, where the cell is. So it can distinguish perfectly in between a healthy cell and a cancer cell. And this is why it's so selective. And this is, it really by cell, you can see it on the culture. You say, oh, the cancer cells are eliminated, but the healthy cells not. That's what it is.
Wow, man. So you've seen cases of turbo cancer get reversed. You've seen that?
Yeah, we have them, and they uploaded in the Observatory. The people put in the cell. You have turbo cancer it's the intrinsic factor is the vaccine that creates these huge amount of endothelial spikes. It means that your own body is creating the spike, not the corona itself. It's your own body, every cell. And you can see it because the people have, for example, the reddish. They see very reddish, or you push on and it stays white very long. For example, you can press here as hard as you want. It comes back. If not, you say, oops, I have a problem with the blood circulation. What the people can do to know, for example, this is very difficult, especially in young people, because they fall on, or that's their bone. They can check the D-dimer and the ferritin values. If they are too high and they are vexed a few times, then they have a problem. And should take the CVS, obviously, to get rid of it. And we could see after 3 months and 6 months, depending on the severeness, the D-dimer values and the ferritin values drop back to normal. So, and the person was fine, obviously. She felt fine before, but felt fine after. But in this time, they took protocol C mainly. And after that, the values get back to normal and they didn't rise again. So it seems to be okay.
Wow, amazing. And so these cases, and you mentioned this line about the fact that if it came on fast, like a turbo cancer, then it can also go away fast. I have seen cases of this, but you're saying that you're witnessing cases where people have got a late stage cancer that's really aggressive, growing really fast. It might be glioblastoma, might be a lung cancer or colon cancer. You can correct me here, but even still, you're seeing them get turned around. And in what time periods are you seeing them get turned around?
Anyone who doubts it, I can invite here to Guadalajara to our foundation. If you come into downstairs, first floor, Jenny. Jenny is a very beautiful lady, very friendly, 37, 38 years. Well, she had a glioblastoma, and not one, 6. Sixth type glioblastoma in the brain cancer. Now, well, she's working for us because she's healed.
Up next, we hear from Dr. Brian Ardis, a fearless truth teller who's made it his mission to uncover what's really keeping us sick. How can we finally break free? Dr. Ardis doesn't just expose the problems, he delivers the solutions. From the shocking truth to venom proteins, to the forgotten healing power of nicotine, he reveals why so many of our immune systems are being hijacked and what we can do to take back control. He dives deep into how sugar acts like a drug, suppressing our immune cells and feeding chronic disease, and how simple shifts in what we eat, drink, and breathe can turn everything around. This is more than just a warning. It's a wake-up call, followed by a roadmap for healing. Whether you're struggling with autoimmune issues, lingering infections, or fear of the next pandemic, what Dr. Ardis shares could change your life. If you've been looking for real answers, this is the interview you've been waiting for. After Dr. Ardis, we have Dr. Saumra Sridharan, a leading expert in gut health and functional medicine. Dr. Sridharan reveals that gas and bloating are not normal, and they're signs of poor digestion, often caused by fake processed foods that the body struggles to break down. She explains how constipation has become so common that many people don't even realize they're constipated, all due to poor dietary choices. It's not just about the food, our water is contaminated too. Municipal water may be treated, but it still contains pharmaceutical residues, heavy metals, and fluoride, which kill the very gut bacteria we need to stay healthy. Hey there, it's Jonathan Otto here, and I'm with Dr. Brian Ardis. Dr. Ardis, this is it's been a long time coming, and we're going to talk about various disease reversal strategies. But always the thing, like if you look at our series here, it's the healing revolution, and I think about how you've been just a key figure for various areas of how to activate healing. Like it's always been about that, whether you're talking about parasites or nicotine or venom. It's because you're seeking healing, not because you like to scare people about and tell them that the world's really scary or look for sensational news. It's always for healing, and that's why I've felt really connected to you and your mission. So I just can't wait for this, and I want to go deep into solutions and deep into specifics, and whether it's anti-parasitics or what new and what has come out with venoms and everything in between. But thank you, Brian, Dr. Ardis. Thank you for doing this with me. I appreciate it.
Jonathan Otto, it is really great to finally get to meet you and work with you. It's been a long time. I've been waiting for this moment. Just kidding. We've known each other a long time. It's very exciting to be here. And yes, there's nothing I'm ever going to project, ever going to share with the world that's intended to be scary. It might be alarming because it's new, but it was new to me when I was researching it. The whole goal has always been, what is the antidote? And the only way you're going to know the antidote to any scenario or symptom is understanding what is triggering or causing that symptom. So in order to identify what the antidotes may be and be able to explain to people how that's going to work, which will then instill in a person, if I shared it with you, you're going to have hope based on what I can share with you is the why this might work. Well, the only way you're going to know if it works is if you know what it's working against to make an improvement. And that's where it would have been the venom aspect would have came out. It wasn't to scare anybody. It was just to actually tell you there's all these antidotes published in medicine around the world and in scientific journals who have been researching the aspects and the downsides of any various venom proteins being introduced into the human body, regardless if it's from a venomous creature or venomous humans spraying them and spreading them around the world. The goal was just to make sure, now we know and understand more fully what's causing those symptoms and what are the antidotes. And it's been miraculous to watch those changes. And I need to explain something to everybody out there. What you put in your mouth suppresses your immune system and makes you more susceptible to every viral infection, every disease, and feeds cancer. And it suppresses your immune system's production of white blood cells in your bone marrow. And every time you eat something with refined sugars in it, within 45 minutes, it has been known to have the exact same action on your immune system as prednisone and steroids, which sugar and prednisone do the exact same thing. They're called immunosuppressants. They shut off your immune system's production of T cells, B cells, macrophages, all the things that kill viruses and keep cancer cells from mutating and spreading around your body. For every time you're putting Pop-Tarts, donut holes, Cheetos, sodas, Coca-Cola, Gatorade, I don't care what it is. Gatorade, by the way, has 35 grams of sugar in all of it. If you're going to put that much sugar in your body, you obviously are trying to get sick. Because every time you put that in your mouth, it suppresses your bone marrow's production of white blood cells for days from just one ingestion. So if you wanted to eradicate the pandemic, I could have just got everybody to stop eating sugar all day long, stop drinking sodas, drink your distilled water, eat fruits and vegetables, and you would have seen less people get sick. What you put in your mouth matters.
Yeah.
How does it matter? Well, I just told you, sugar suppresses your immune system.
But then what you put in your body also boosts your immune system. Let's explain this one, okay? You have T cells called thymus cells. That's what the T stands for. You have B cells, which are bone marrow cells, or beta cells, if you want to call them that. Beta cells are primarily in the pancreas, but your bone marrow cells and your thymus cells are all cells made in your bone marrow, pushed out into the bloodstream, and as they circulate around your body, looking for things that might be making you sick or might be a threat to you, the thymus gland behind your sternum transforms the T cells to attack a certain bacteria, virus, fungus, parasite, venom that's in your body. Or cancer cells. That's what they're there for. Now remember, every time you consume sugar, within 45 minutes, your bone marrow's production of this cell drops by 75%. So now you have less white blood cells to protect you. You're going to get more easily sick. Every white blood cell in the human body, made by God, by your bone marrow, that's circulating in your body and keeping you well and helping you get over infections and pathogens to help you recover and have your own health revolution and healing revolution every time you ever got sick. All of us have had healing revolutions. You've been on your deathbed with the flu and then you came out of it 7 to 10 days later, your immune system handled the whole thing. It revolted against the virus and then you recovered. But it didn't feel good. That battle inside your body caused pain, chills, fever, hypoxia, joint pain, you name it. But then it subsided once all of that was gone. All right, did you know, Jonathan Otto, that every T cell, which kills cancer cells, is activated by alpha-7 nicotine receptors when nicotine is present? And did you know that B cells that help protect and fight all infections and heal the body from all kinds of diseases, including cancer, did you know that they, every single one of them, are turned on by nicotine receptors when nicotine is present? Did you know they target alpha-7 nicotine receptors and shut off those cells' function when they bind to those nicotine receptors? And then your immune system is now suppressed. So if you want to improve the likelihood that your body can activate its own immune system to increase its already governed, infused by God's ability to beat cancer and all infections in the human body, nicotine is found in the second highest levels in all of your nightshade vegetables. So you might want to start consuming those to activate your immune system as high as possible and reduce your refined sugar intake. There is a great researcher, I have referenced her for years, so how to reverse sugar addiction, and she put together a list in her long research scientist career. She put a list of all chronic human disease outcomes and medical diagnoses that are directly caused by the consumption of refined sugar. And she made that list, and I used to give it to every patient that came into my office. I'd go like this: I'm going to ask you to actually have a food journal monthly filled out for me every single day of everything you put into your mouth, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the entire time you're my patient. And this is what I expected of every patient for the last 10 years in practice. And if I saw refined sugar, Dr. Pepper, any of that stuff on there, I would then start coaching them how to reduce that stuff, because the immune system naturally would come up and they could actually overcome any autoimmune disease or cancer diagnosis that they had as we made those adjustments. What you put in your body matters. What you put on your body matters. What you inhale into your body has an effect on the immune system. So these are some very basic principles. Get your mind right and then feed your body what it needs to actually assist the body's immune system to be at its optimum as it is designed.
I'm Dr. Samesh Sridharan. I am from India. I've been in the United States for 10 years now. And I started out originally as a homeopath. I studied homeopathy in India. And homeopathy is pretty big in India. My father is also a homeopath. So that's where I really got the idea of becoming one. And I've seen many number of cases being treated by my dad at his home office. And it just inspired me. And I was young enough to think I could save the world. And so that's how I really chose to become a homeopath. And then I came to the United States. And then I started realizing how much of a struggle that is here, because it was so much common practice in India. People go to natural doctors first before they go to conventional medical doctors. And that's just the way it was. And then here, there was no room for it. We want to know why the pain exists, which is, I think, very important. So, for example, in Western medicine, they'll give you Tylenol. I would ask, okay, what is the reason for the pain? Like, how is the pain? We will actually characterize the pain more as to, is it pounding? Is it burning? Is it, because everything really means different things and it'll be treated differently. So typically in homeopathy, the way, and again, because I started out as a homeopath, that's the first one I go to always. So in homeopathy, there are n number of medicines for pain, even just headache. So even headache, there is n number of painkillers, or not really painkillers, but something to heal the headache, because it depends on whether it is a sinus headache, whether it is a headache that came from exposure to sun, or it actually came because the person didn't have their period properly, or it actually came during their period, hormonal headaches, so, or it is a migraine that was triggered by stress. So each of these things are so different, which means that we cannot really treat them with one size fits all at all. We give those characteristics. So on our website, we have protocols for acute conditions that are really kind of simple, but they have their own indications. So I always tell my patients, so if you have a headache, go there and look under there, all of the different remedies that we have, and read the indications of each remedy and take the one that fits your symptoms the most. So that way, it's still kind of tailor-made. Even though we are treating an acute condition, it's still a little bit tailor-made for them, because they are actually understanding how that headache is and then take a remedy rather than just take a Tylenol or ibuprofen for every single thing. First of all, one of the best things is that our body never lies. And I say that quite often because it is so true. Like, if there is pain, it's always trying to get our attention to that specific place and trying to direct us to where it could be coming from. So a lot of times symptoms in itself can be very clear indicator of what is happening. In this case, maybe I'll say like melasma. Okay, melasma is the brown discoloration that people can actually develop on their cheeks. And when somebody develops that more often, because it is not really painful, people may think it's nothing to really do about, but the body obviously spoke. It's not something that was there before, it's now there. So in that case, we would say, okay, this area in Chinese medicine is an indicator of the liver. And brown discoloration is always an indicator of the liver as well. So then there is a huge sign that the body is trying to say that the liver is sluggish and it is not really doing what it's supposed to do, which is the reason why the melasma showed up. And so it's painless right now, but if you let it go, it may actually become something bigger. So it starts with a whisper, and then it'll end up being a screaming match if we don't really listen to the whisper. So that's the first place. So I do facial diagnosis, tongue diagnosis, pulse diagnosis. These are all the first initial just touching, seeing ways of understanding the root cause. Where is it coming from? And the other things that we also use is we use regulation thermography. It's a type of functional testing that shows us the function of different organs in the body and what is happening in them. For example, if there is toxicity in a certain organ, like if there is toxicity in the liver, or if there is too much of heavy metals in the body and the liver is unable to process it, it's actually struggling, it's showing a lot of stress, then this person may have melasma as a result of all of these things. Melasma is much more of almost like a butterfly-like pattern, but not like lupus. So lupus is much more red in color, but melasma is more brown. Often happens in pregnancy or after pregnancy, when a woman is actually having difficult time processing their hormones through the liver. It's very, very common. Can also happen during menopause. Or in some cases, it can also happen if they had ablation, like a suppression of a period in some way. The lymphatic system usually comes much later in some ways, like if the gut isn't functioning optimally. And if the liver isn't able to actually process the things that it's supposed to process, then the lymphatic system takes on the load. So anytime something comes up on the skin, it's a clear indicator that the lymphatic system is struggling. But it's also a clear indicator that the gut is struggling and it isn't eliminating properly. I often say this in my practice, that if somebody has acne or psoriasis or eczema or any kind of dermatitis, I always tell them that this is not a skin condition. I know that's where it's appearing, but this is not a skin condition. We are not really going to treat the skin. So there is no ointment to be given, there is no antibiotic, no steroid to be put on the skin. We really treat the gut and the liver and sometimes the kidneys too, because that can also be an effect that shows up on the skin. and typically the skin clears up. So anytime any skin condition appears, it is always a gut thing. That's the first thing to know. It can be eczema, it can be itching, or even keratosis pilaris, as we say, like the chicken skin. Okay, on the arms, people might have it, or on their cheeks. Even though they are all painless conditions and they don't cause itching, even keratosis pilaris is pretty much asymptomatic, other than the fact that it actually has those bumps. That's it. Even in those cases, it actually has to do with the gut. So anything that appears on the skin, we are always looking at what is happening in the gut. And more often than not, what we will notice is that that person is constipated, or they don't even know that they're constipated. So actually, I would be bold enough to say that 70% of Americans are constipated, and even if they are pooping every single day. So constipation is not really just having a bowel movement every single day. It is much more than that. It is really clearing up your bowels completely, ascending colon, transverse colon, and descending colon, and not just a descending colon alone. So if they have smaller amounts of bowel movements, if it's hard, okay, or they don't feel satisfied after going, they're sitting in the toilet for a long period of time, all of those are indicators of them not clearing their bowels completely. The first and foremost thing to heal someone's gut is making sure that they're having proper bowel movements every single day. And how do we actually do that? It's such an interesting fact. Again, in the Western part of the world, we have these kinds of toilets where we sit down as if we are sitting on a chair. And it is the most non-conducive way of having a bowel movement. So if, let's say, look at a dog, okay, they all squat and they are going to have a bowel movement. And so humans, if we didn't really have a toilet like the ones we have here in the Western world, how would you actually have a bowel movement? You'll be sitting, squatting down and having a bowel movement, right? That's the only way to have it. So in the eastern part of the world, they actually emulated the natural way to sit, squat, and have a bowel movement in their toilets. And somehow the Western world came and said, that's actually just so uncivilized. And so then we started sitting down. But let's just understand the anatomy of the colon. The ascending colon is something that's ascending. It means it's going up. And we have a bowel movement that's quite solid. And we are expecting something solid to move against gravity without any help. And then we want it to move transversely without any help. And then we want it to go down. So most people are actually only having a bowel movement that is from their descending colon, which means it actually goes through with the help of gravity, they pass it. But the squatting motion, what does it do? The thighs on the abdomen pushes the ascending colon like a toothpaste, if you will. Okay, so you press it when the toothpaste, is full, you press it at the back, it actually automatically comes, or you don't have to push it in the front. Right? So it's the same exact method. So naturally, that's how we were supposed to have a bowel movement. And since we don't really have the natural way of sitting anymore, people don't even squat, period. We're always sitting in these positions, but these are more like hospital equipment, if you will. Okay, this is only for people who have had knee surgery. We should be sitting down on the floor. We should be squatting. Having that as the first and foremost aspect of it, that would help gut health. And because so many people are constipated and not even know that they are constipated, like they may have gas, bloating. Again, such a common thing. So many of my patients think that's normal. Gas and bloating are not normal. Okay, you shouldn't, foods should not make you bloated unless that food is not real food. If it's not real food, it should make you bloated. Otherwise, it should not make you bloated. So it only shows that the fermentation is taking place instead of digestion taking place. If digestion is taking place, there will be no bloating and gas. So these are all clear indicators. Again, our body is talking to us, telling us that, hey, there's something here. I want to let you know by producing things that makes you uncomfortable. First and foremost, waking up in the morning, and I always recommend my patients to sit in a squatting position and drink a glass of warm water. Okay, simple. But again, the peristaltic movements in the gut always start when the stomach is distended. So you put water in, and you haven't really had water for almost 12 hours or so. And now in the morning, we are pretty dehydrated. That's the first easiest thing that we could do. Wake up, drink a glass of warm water. The stomach gets distended. It tells the rest of the intestines and the colon that, hey, move. Something is coming in. And also in Chinese medicine, we say 5 to 7 a.m. is the time of the colon. The body automatically wants to eliminate during that time. See, our body is there's an internal clock here that knows exactly what to do, when to do. But we actually have all kinds of changes that we have made in our lifestyle, where people go to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning and wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the time has passed already, and now the body isn't really ready to eliminate, and so then people have to drink coffee to eliminate, so that doesn't really help much. But so drinking water first thing in the morning, so better to go to sleep around 10 o'clock at night, waking up around 6 o'clock in the morning at least, so that we have that time window still available to us. Go sit down, drink water at peace. Again, oftentimes people are running. As soon as they wake up, they're running. And that's not conducive for the digestive system, period. Digestive system is a very relaxed organ. People need to eat relaxed. People need to have a bowel movement in a relaxed manner. We need to have the time to eliminate. We need the time to assimilate. And when we don't have these kinds of times, like you wake up and you run, there's no time for actually elimination. And like we wash our plates before we eat, we need to clean our gut before we eat. So it's important to have a bowel movement in the morning. And then again, having a squatty potty, okay, where it's like a stool that goes under the toilet. And then, putting the legs up and sitting on the toilet after you drink a glass of water is going to really start the elimination process. Now we are going to set ourselves up for success. And if that's not yet the way their body is, another thing that I always recommend is drink water. Go, run, jump, do some kind of physical activity, and then go sit on the toilet. You're going to have a bowel movement. So if all of that actually fails, then we want to definitely look at what their diet looks like. Are they having enough insoluble fiber in their diet? Insoluble fiber are those kinds of foods that have, kind of like crunch to it. Like anything that you take a bite, it's crunchy. Celery, apples, okay. All of these have a crunch to them, jicama. And they also have prebiotics. So this insoluble fiber becomes a prebiotic for the gut bacteria. So they need them to survive in our gut. And again, in today's world, most people don't have good bacterial load in their gut because they've taken way too many antibiotics in their lifetime, or even the water that they are drinking has chlorine and fluoride in it, which acts as antibiotics. And then water in itself has antibiotics. So if it's not filtered water, then we are bringing in all kinds of things that's killing the bacteria in our gut without us even trying. Tylenol and ibuprofen kills bacteria in our gut. Okay, so all of these things are definitely changing the flora in our gut. And then on top of it, we don't really eat enough insoluble fiber. So which means that we cannot sustain those bacteria. So people have to take probiotics all their life. Instead, if we actually sustain it, we don't need to take that. So I personally, as well as, I was raised completely naturally. I had never taken an antibiotic growing up. I'd never taken a Tylenol growing up. I'd never taken ibuprofen growing up. I didn't even actually take Tylenol, ibuprofen, or any painkiller after my C-sections. I did have 2 C-sections because I had terrible OBGYNs, but I didn't actually have to take any medication. At that point in time, I was in control. So I said, no, I'm not going to take it. Don't give me any of those things. I'll take care of it from here on. And so I took all of the homeopathic remedies at that time, and I was able to heal. And I do this for my patients as well. Any kind of surgery they go through, I give them the post-surgical protocols that they go through, and they never have to take an antibiotic or painkillers, and they heal so rapidly. There are so many ways of doing this, and I only can vouch for it because I have lived like that, for so many years. And I've raised both my daughters like that now as well. They never have had to take a painkiller or an antibiotic. So it's possible for every single person. And so the less we actually intervene and let the body take control of the things that it knows how to do, then the better we are going to keep those gut flora in as well. So we keep our gut flora intact, and we don't have to deal with taking probiotics all our life. And again, drinking enough water. That's another thing that people don't do enough of. Everybody should be drinking at least half of their body weight in ounces. So most cities treat their water. So in the United States, most people believe that their water is clean because the city has treated the water. But what most cities care about is that the water is potable. Potable water literally means that it doesn't make you sick immediately. It doesn't have a certain amount of pathogenic load in it that it doesn't cause you to become sick quickly. Okay, you don't really run having poisoning from that, literally, or infectious diseases from that. And that's what all it's about. But water typically nowadays, because there is so much of contamination in our water, right? Whether it actually comes from a river, it comes from a lake, it comes from even wells, you still actually have industries that are, contaminating our groundwater, which means it can actually have all sorts of chemicals in them. It has heavy metals in them. They are actually transported through lead pipes many a time. So it has lead in it. It has pharmaceutical drugs in it. Okay, it actually, and so many people, flush their pharmaceutical drugs down the toilet. Okay, or even after they take a pharmaceutical drug and they pee, it's in that. Right? So there's all of these things that is actually in our water. And when we take it, and that's the reason why they usually treat it with chlorine and fluoride, because those kill the pathogens and keeps the load low, but they are not really removing other things. And even whatever some of the cities do remove some aspects of it, but it's still not to the level where it should be. That's not toxic enough for human beings, because we cannot really tolerate most of the heavy metals like aluminum, mercury, lead, cadmium, bismuth, beryllium, arsenic. There are like so many of them, and they're all in our water. And we do a test called oligoscan in our office. It uses radiophotospectrometry. And this technology really measures heavy metals and minerals and vitamins in the tissues. So when we measure that, I actually am yet to see a single person who doesn't have heavy metals in their body. Okay, I've not seen them yet. It hasn't happened. And so, which means that all of us have heavy metals in our body. Okay, so now, if we already have so much of contamination, do we really want to keep adding contaminants through the foods that we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, or should we actually limit it? I think we should limit it, because whatever we have, we can work on eliminating it to a large extent or be a good detoxifier. But at the same time, we shouldn't be throwing in so much of it, because the load increases, the body can't tolerate it more than a certain amount.
Dr. Judy Mikovits takes it one step further, exposing how the food system has been genetically manipulated and corrupted. She reveals the shocking truth about GMOs and how modifying nature leads to devastating health consequences. For example, bovine growth hormone, BGH, was added to dairy cows to increase milk production, but the result? An increase in hormone-related illnesses in humans. She exposes how traditional farming methods like crop rotation and soil restoration have been abandoned in favor of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, leaving our food depleted of nutrients. The worst part? The USDA and FDA approve these toxic practices while banning natural healing alternatives. Dr. Matt Rayner exposes yet another layer of deception. Even foods marketed as healthy, like salad bars, are loaded with inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids. And if you think buying organic will protect you, think again. US organic honey doesn't actually exist. There's no region large enough to avoid pesticide contamination. What's labeled as organic might not be truly clean, further misleading consumers. The reality is that over 80,000 chemicals have been introduced into our food system, with 2,000 more added every year. Many of these additives, pesticides, and processed ingredients are banned in other countries, yet they're still allowed in the United States. So if you've ever wondered why so many people are struggling with brain fog, weight gain, chronic fatigue, and autoimmune disease, now you know why. But there is good news. Knowledge is power. Once you understand how the food system is designed to keep you sick, you can take back control of your health. Stay tuned as we continue uncovering the biggest food deceptions and, most importantly, how to protect yourself and your family from them. Up next, we have Betty Murray as she breaks down how the food industry itself was hijacked after World War II, prioritizing shelf life over nutrition. Vitamins, minerals, and fiber were intentionally removed from food to prevent spoilage, leaving us with processed, chemically altered products that last longer but offer zero real nutrition. In the 1980s, things got even worse when high fructose corn syrup replaced sugar. High fructose corn syrup bypasses normal metabolism and goes straight to the liver, leading to fatty liver disease and skyrocketing metabolic disorders. And here's something even more disturbing. Food companies intentionally add chemicals to manipulate brain chemistry and create addiction. For example, MSG, monosodium glutamate, triggers the brain's reward center, making people crave more.
I'm Dr. Judy Mikovits. I have a PhD in biochemistry and molecular biology. In 1992 is the official graduation date, but I defended my thesis 1991, November 14th. And that was 1 week after Magic Johnson was declared to test positive for HIV. Well, what did that mean? It in 1991. That meant he had an antibody. He'd been exposed by some form of natural route to your innate immune system, skin, nose, nasal, pharyngeal cavity, whatever that might be. And he produced that antibody through a natural route. So what we knew, my PhD thesis said, HIV, whether bioweapon or not, which we now appreciate was straight up bioweapon from hepatitis B vaccines, that it was always infection by injection, and that HIV never was LAV, which was lymphadenopathy virus associated with gay-related immune deficiency. Well, clearly, Magic Johnson wasn't a gay man, an IV drug user, or a prostitute. He was an athlete that was injected, infection by injection. So my PhD thesis committee said, based on your thesis, will he or will he not die of AIDS? Because if they didn't read that, they would understand he would never get AIDS because the infection is not the disease. AIDS is acquired immune dysfunction. The poison acquired the ability to take over your immune system. All you need to do is keep the expression of that toxin silent, and you win. And 44 years later, he never developed AIDS or anything the like of it, but not because of drugs or anything else, which we were led to believe after 1992. And I now know in 2020 is probably 2018 when I learned it. No, you never injected anyone with HIV with anything. In 2016, a paper was published in AIDS Research in Human Retrovirus that said standard vaccines increase the transcription. What is transcription? Central dogma of molecular biology. My PhD was biochemistry and molecular biology, disciplines that didn't exist when I got my Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Virginia in 1980. And from that day on, from June 10th, 1980, I worked at the National Cancer Institute developing natural products into healing modalities, biological response modifiers. Biologics, as the FDA is calling them today, are not biologics at all. They're synthetics. So N-acetylcysteine, when you take it by pill, is not a nutraceutical. It's a drug. And we make N-acetylcysteine from biological functions, from food, from water, from minerals according to the genetic codes, from everything. So my entire life's work and journey over the past 44 years is how do we, the biggest problem is re-educate the entire population as to what is healing according to God and what is a cancer and how we turn back these terms. There's no such thing as autoimmune disease. You don't attack yourself. Therefore, by definition, it's not self. So I've done that both in the pharmaceutical industry, Epigenics Pharmaceuticals, when I left the National Cancer Institute, May 11th, 2001. I got married October 7th, 2000. And so that my name is actually Nolde and not Mikovits after that date. But that was my curriculum vitae, my life's work. Not a resume, not a commercial. Curriculum vitae, what I've published, what I've done, all my work on paper. And that becomes your bias, if you will, into how I think about things. My philosophy, the degree is called PhD. It's a doctorate in philosophy. So where did I get that doctorate? George Washington University and my undergraduate, University of Virginia. That's Thomas Jefferson. That's natural products. That's botanicals. My life's work was botanicals and how God gives us everything we need for food and for health. And when they're turned into synthetics, when a Nobel Prize or a patent is given, you can't patent nature. So gain of function and whatever they want to call it wasn't called that then. So lymphadenopathy virus, which Luc Montagnier isolated and we confirmed in 1983. I isolated it from saliva. It's not rocket science. I pulled saliva and I simply put the saliva onto a functioning human cell line. As we know, your monocyte macrophages, your stem cells, that every organ system of the body is protected all the way through ontogeny from the fertilization of the embryo, the fertilization of the egg by the sperm. That conception is when immunity starts, and they're inextricably linked from birth. Conception is a human being, 64 cells. 2 to the 6 power of 6, 2 times 2 times 2. 64 cells is a human being. And the reason I know that is because I'm an identical twin. What happens for the next 3 months in utero as that 64 cells, which is sitting there in vitro fertilization, builds the placenta, builds the feeding, builds implants into the uterine cell wall. Well, that woman has hormones going on and off. So now we have to do that in vitro because we've so poisoned that very central part of our being by chemicals, by we don't make chemicals in the body. They're not chemicals. Chemistry and biochemistry is simply a language. And that's what we have to understand. How do we communicate is how our cells communicate. But if we don't understand from dust how our cells communicated, I guarantee you it wasn't a big bang. But those sequences that we now somehow say that all of life has, what sequence and how is that messenger RNA? It is transcribed, it is written from DNA, exported from the nucleus to messenger RNA. 97% of it is never translated into the enzyme, that the enzymes that run your entire body. So 97% of it is regulatory, an orchestra, the conductor of the orchestra. When does each system go on to produce not cacophony, not noise, but a symphony? That's your immune system. And we don't get it. The central question is, how do you nutrify? Well, what have we done? God gave us everything for food. That's the end of Genesis. Everything. But we were called to protect the soil, the land, the air, and the water. That was our penance, our after the original sin, Adam and Eve. Now, our job is we're called to be the arbiters and take care of everything God gave us, our plants, our animals, our soil, our air, our water. That was on us. And what did we do? Genetically modify God? Ooh, GMO? We're supposed to allow the circle of life of everything we do to go back into the soil. Cows eat grass, not corn. That was my work at Upjohn in Michigan in 1986. It was, let's do bovine somatostatin, which would be bovine growth hormone. And my job was to tell Upjohn Pharmaceuticals that when you gave cows a synthetic bovine growth hormone, either injecting it into them or having them ingest things that they can't metabolize, then all you did was make the cows fatter like the humans. And there were no nutrients stored. We store nutrients in fats. We don't take A, D, K, and E. We ingest it. We eat food. Bee pollen. Bee pollens make minerals according to the genetic code. We've been lied to. Minerals from plants in shape. Minerals have shape. Your innate immune system recognizes shape. From plants. That's why you don't rip things apart when you harvest them with steel. That's why you put back into the land, and we were supposed to every 7 years rest the soil. You do composting and you put everything back in the soil. You don't poison it with every kind of pesticide, DDT. So it's in everything, but the easiest thing to do it is turn back to God. No more poison in what you take, nothing genetically modified. So we can't allow the vaccination of our cauliflower and our tobacco any more than we can allow the vaccination of our cows, pigs, dogs, because that's zoonosis. Something I often show is a 2014 Trends in Parasitology. That was GMO. There's no such thing as global warming. How can you put a tax on carbon? It's called weather. And we have to go through freeze cycles. And we can't take energy and weaponize that and create fires and hurricanes in places where we want to change a narrative. So at every level, they've tried to take advantage of changing how we sense things as energy and then heal things. Oh, so okay, we'll use red light therapy. Well, how about letting that red light come from the sun? And how about don't wear sunglasses? Oh, because all you're doing is filtering the end and causing cataracts. What's a cataract? A cataract is the fibroblast growing on the wrong side of the lens. But what's holding the retina and the cells in place so that you can focus light and see clearly? None of our families ever wore glasses. The first injuries are at the level of our eyes because that's the nociception. That's the chemical sensitivity, and all we're doing is depleting the nutrients that come from the sun. The first experiments we do as 8th graders. It's important as 8th graders when I was young, 50 years ago, in 8th grade. It's, put a battery on a lemon, put a charge across a lemon, and create an energetic flow. Vitamin C. One of the first books I had was Linus Pauling, Vitamin C. So they slaughter Linus Pauling. They decide they create a new narrative. They make him out to be a bad guy. We're all human. And then they miss what vitamin C does in the universe. We don't inject vitamin C, and we don't ingest it in pills. We get it from plants, and we get lots of different sources. I remember Suzanne Humphries, the beautiful Dr. Suzanne Humphries, a nephrologist, teaching us about all the poisons in the kidneys and why we have 2 of them. We'll just cut out one and you can live with one. No, you need 2 because of the level of toxins in our environment because of genetically modified everything. And that would even be sunlight, where we throw up a satellite to change the energetics of our sun. But God gave us also systems and focusing that like the EE system in the beautiful work of Sandra Rose Michael and Jason Shirka. So we can send up the satellites that stop from the stratosphere, things coming through, because we understand all of that, but it's been weaponized against us, and when we use it for us, and that's what, in the times now, that's what Kennedy and Trump are going to do for us. And I say both of them, Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Trump, because we tried to tell them, Bobby listened, he heard me, and he's a genius. And I scream at people, that, because they don't hear me. And all Bobby would always say is, send me the paper. And so I'd send it, and he'd come back a few days later, and he said, did you say this? Did the paper say this? And I said, exactly. And then he'd start thinking a little while longer. And he's like, So all the way in 2016, when Trump did the right thing, the minute he got in, he said, okay, task force, vaccines. What does the word mean? It's not immunization. Do not be. The idea is to poison our immune system so we're desensitized, so we don't respond. So a cancer will continue to grow no matter the parasite that spawned it. And now, why is our National Cancer Institute contracting agency for more than 40 years since I was there? The company is called Leidos, Leidos. Why is that in our airport? Why are we doing this as Americans? I can't even stand on those 2 feet, raise my hand over my hand and stand there and let them detonate the bioweapon. Leidos was your cancer agency. They were the contractor that owes me a 22-year retirement. And I don't exist anymore, so they won't give that to me. But I don't care. The point is, why is our Cancer Institute and our bioweapons lab that started right there at Fort Detrick, Maryland, in the Nixon era, why did we just turn the sign around on a bioweapons lab and call it a Cancer Institute? Because we were going to create the cancer. That's the answer. And that's what the American people and the people around the world can't hear. Nobody can appreciate this level of evil. Nobody. And so when you attempt to try to back it down, our brains simply can't hear it. So we need people of courage, like in films like this, to create your memory so that you go back and say, yeah, in the critical thinking, you're not a frog in that hot water where we just slowly raise the temperature. We dip every egg we put in a grocery store. The government says, if it's USDA, don't go in there, then it's poison. If it's FDA approved, don't even think about it. No, it's poison. Don't go in those places. It's not food. It's not water. We say, I don't drink. Well, I know that because you're dehydrated. What's destroying our liver? It's non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. What is diabetes? Type 1, 2, or 3? Oh, it's robbing oxygen from, hemoglobin is carried in your red blood cells, the same scaffold of nitrogen in a 3-dimensional with a mineral in the middle of that scaffold is chlorophyll. What's the mineral in the middle of chlorophyll? Magnesium. What's the mineral in the middle of hemoglobin? Iron, ferritin, Fe2+. When you change the shape of a red blood cell, would that be called sickle cell anemia?
So on the nutritional side with migraines, I would say you can have various nutritional deficiencies. You can look at just electrolyte imbalances. So what's the purpose of electrolytes in terms of how they can have an impact with headaches? We think, blood volume. So if somebody has a decrease in electrolytes, you might have difficulty maintaining blood pressure. So again, it's smart adaptation by the body might be to increase vascular pressure to work harder to shunt blood up. But again, having good blood volume with good electrolytes maintains that volume aspect so that you may not have to have that blood pressure to compensate in. So that's one mechanism. I would also say things like magnesium are really critical for smooth muscle tone. Good magnesium levels allows you to gate smooth muscle tone more appropriately so you can have better relaxation of smooth muscle, as well as that can also have a direct impact on blood pressure. Any nutrient can be an issue. Omega-3 fatty acids, again, their role in inflammatory mechanisms to headaches can be very critical. If you look at most people have plenty exposure in their day-to-day life, even if you go to some of the healthier food options and eat from the salad bar, they're still very rich in omega-6 fatty acids that can be more pro-inflammatory. So it's very easy to see a lot of our patients come in with high omega-6 fatty acids and low omega-3s, which just makes it very conducive to be more pro-inflammatory versus anti-inflammatory and get stuck in that pattern. The standard American diet, when we look at just diet as a whole, I like to look at diet as what you eat on average is the best definition of it. When I moved to the US, again, being from Canada originally, people just eat out many times a day, where in Canada, you might eat out once every 2 weeks. So I realized there's this pattern of just there's a lot more fast food options. And again, in that scenario, there's a lot of foods that might be high in caloric value, but low in nutrition or nutrients. So a lot of like high calorie, not nutrient dense foods. So that creates some deficiency issues. But then on top of it, there's just this unnecessary, butchering of kind of just the chemicals in it. So pesticides can be heavily cropped in there, even like food additives and coloring agents. Like Europe is much more restrictive about what's included in their foods. And I feel like here in the US, we're still basically allowing stuff that is banned in other countries into our food, into our supplements, into the things that we consume. The issue to the body is, and I find it common, is like, well, a lot, as a kid, I could eat that. Why is it a problem now? It's like, well, one, things have probably evolved since you were a child. There's more things creeping in, that are cheaper to add in and swap out in foods. Then on top of it, it's more time for your body to have to handle and tolerate it. And so a lot of times when we talk about, are you going to get sick? Are you going to get ill or disease? It comes down to your tolerance, right? And your tolerance really comes down to how well you at the cell level can handle the burden being placed on it. And that, it's something we're talking at a microscopic level. The 38 trillion cells that make up our body, how do you know if they're handling the stress that you're placing on them? Again, it might show up as brain fog for somebody first. It might show up as headaches for somebody. It might show up as weight gain. But again, at some point, we're just clusters of cells that make up different organs. And then, usually you see symptoms show up in the organs that are the most active mitochondrial wise. So whether it's brain, muscle aches, fatigue, liver, these organs never stop working. So their energy production always has to be efficient. And so when we look at, kind of the modern day diet, you may have the calorie coming in, but you have all this excess kind of stress behind the calorie that slows down our cell function. That's what we tend to notice more and more. And it's really interesting. I just was speaking with a patient before I came in and met with you. Her husband and her family run a honey operation. We're I think the largest or one of the largest distributors. And I was like, they have an organic option and they have a non-organic option. Guess where they get the organic option from? Not in the US. There's no place in the US that has a radius big enough where there's not pesticides sprayed that they can harvest honey, organic honey, to call it organic, because the bees will still come in cross-contamination with pesticides. So they have to go and find regions outside the US where they have big enough radiuses of non-pesticide sprayed crops. And again, I always think about when I'm buying even organic fruit at the grocery store, it might be organic, but is it still getting cross-contamination from a crop right next to it? Because again, I feel like it's so prevalent now, we're just getting hit left, right, and center. And I think it's like 80,000 chemicals have been produced, and and roughly 2,000 every year that are being produced. And, unfortunately, our EPA, one, there's not enough resources to keep up with it. But two, even when there's chemicals that are deemed potentially harmful, we still don't filter them out. We allow them here in this country, yet other countries in Europe are like, no, hey, this is a potential carcinogen. And they ban them, or they have to put a warning label. Here in the US, there's a lot of those chemicals that don't get that treatment and are allowed easily into our diet.
My name is Dr. Betty Murray, and I'm a women's health expert, specifically around hormones and metabolism. I actually entered this arena kind of late in life. This is a second career for me. I was in sales and marketing, and I was swept actually into the early technology boom, aging myself a little bit, but in the early 90s. And when I entered into that career, I was hired as the first female reporting to the chief technology officer for the company that I worked for. So I went into an all-male workforce. And we were underfunded like most companies, and I started working 100 hours a week. And when I was younger, I experienced some digestive symptoms that would come and go. And I was a child of the, 70s and 80s. Your parents, kind of looked at it as if your leg didn't fall off, you were okay, brush it off and keep going. But when I got into my late 20s, my digestive problems got a lot worse. And I ended up being diagnosed with colitis. At the time, I asked what I thought was a legitimately, obvious question to the gastroenterologist. I said, hey, is there anything I could do with my diet that would allow me to maybe change the trajectory of this disease. The immediate response was you're going to get on these, immune suppressing drugs for the rest of your life. And I thought my question was legit. And this gastroenterologist barked a laugh in my face and said it had nothing to do with what I ate. And I just couldn't accept that. I never really went to doctors before this. This was not an area that I spent a lot of time with. I read about nutrition in my free time. I was into bodybuilding at the time. So I started taking nutrition classes, and it was like something clicked. And it was, this is what I need to be doing. So fast forward, I went into a master's program and a certified nutritionist program, came out, hang my shingle, start working with individuals on the side, even while I'm in corporate America. I was able to get my own digestive disorder, my own autoimmune condition under control. But, a couple years later, all of a sudden, it was like everything hit the fan. I enter into my late 30s. I started having a bunch of symptoms. I started gaining weight out of nowhere, despite doing the exact same exercise, the exact same diet that I'd already been doing. My hair started falling out. I had swelling in my ankles and my hands. And it sort of brought me on this journey. At this point, I already own my medical clinic. I'm already working with functional medicine doctors. And we went down this journey that basically lasted most of my 40s. If we look at the turn of the century, 1900, the average intake of sugar was actually very low in the human diet, even in the United States. We didn't have mass food production. We did have people making things like breads and cakes, but that was very, very limited. The vast majority of the food that was eaten in that time period was homegrown on farms or within small communities. And we had some processed foods, but not a lot. And most of that was done at home. Now, if you flash forward to post-World War II, and the creation of really the mass food market, which came out of World War II. In order for foods to stay shelf ready, right, you have to take things out of the foods and add things into foods to allow them to have shelf stability. So when we process foods, the first thing they do is they remove all the vitamins and the mineral, and they remove all the fiber, because those are the things that make that food moldable. Right. So basically, if you remove the nutrients from it, it has the capacity to mold very quickly. So therefore, it doesn't have good shelf life. So removal of nutrients is one of the most primary things that happens. And so basically, when you walk into a grocery store, 3/4 of the store, the center of the store, is all the stuff you want to avoid, because that's the stuff that we have removed nutrients from. Now, what we do is we go back and fortify it with synthesized vitamins, right? So you might see things like riboflavin or thiamine added back. That's because we actually removed the nutrition that was originally in that food. The other thing that we add is we add often sugars in the form of high fructose corn syrup, which is the most common, which is an incredible natural preservative, right? Salt is also a natural preservative. That's why if we look at traditional societies, they often salted things or fermented things because it allowed a food to be stored longer. But when you add sugar and high fructose corn syrup to a food, it allows us to stay shelf stable. So for instance, an average loaf of white bread can actually exist on the shelves for 6 months or more without molding, without actually, even getting hard. And it's because it's devoid of nutrients, devoid of fiber, and has added things like high fructose corn syrup back that keeps it on the shelf longer. Now, that makes big food a lot of money. It makes you very sick. And those convenient foods are not only damaging for that reason, but anytime you take fiber away from foods and remove the nutrients, the vitamins and minerals that are naturally occurring, number one, you increase the speed in which that food gets digested in the digestive tract. So carbohydrates get liberated faster in your digestion, so your body can actually move that carbohydrate into the bloodstream as blood glucose. You're also taking the food supply away from your microbiome, and they make things like GLP-1s. So anybody that's on Ozempic, guess what? Your microbiome influence your body's ability to produce things like GLP-1. And if we're not feeding them, they're going to die. And so when I eat processed foods, they get mobilized to sugar more quickly in the bloodstream. When that happens, your body has to keep a tight regulation on blood sugar. So in an adult human, the amount of blood sugar that is circulating at any given time, if we were to pull it all out of the bloodstream and put it into a container, would be 1 teaspoon. Anything above that is seen as an extreme increase. When your body gets that, it's going to send out insulin from the pancreas to lower the circulating levels of sugar to allow your body to either use it as fuel or to store it as fat. What is concerning, particularly about high fructose corn syrup, is fructose as a sugar-type molecule actually gets processed differently. It doesn't require insulin for transport. So essentially, when you eat high fructose corn syrup or a lot of fructose, what's going to happen is it's going to enter the bloodstream without insulin control as sort of the taxi cab that drives it around. It's going to get sent to the liver first, and it's going to get processed in the liver. And what it does is it bypasses sort of normal metabolism that we see from a glucose molecule. And it ends up creating liver fat, so fatty liver, and it ends up changing metabolically what's happening in the body. So in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, we used mostly table sugar, cane sugar, which was a combination of glucose and fructose. In the 80s, in I believe it was China, they established the capacity to basically create high fructose corn syrup out of corn syrup, which is a chemical reaction. What they were able to do with that is it's shifted the balance between the amount of glucose relative to fructose. So it kind of shifted towards a higher fructose content, which made it more shelf stable and cheaper. In the late 80s, that's where we shifted from using cane sugar in most of our manufactured foods to corn syrup. Now, we can look at the waistline of the American population and we can pretty much assume that that's probably part of what we see. We have fat was demonized in the 80s as this food that was what was causing cardiovascular disease, which has now been seriously brought into question. Definitely high carbohydrates, high processed food intake, high sugar intake, increases cortisol, increases insulin resistance, which then therefore increases cardiovascular risk. But fats in themselves did not necessarily do that. But it was in the late 80s that we shifted the production to fructose and high fructose corn syrup. It saved a lot of money for big food, but it also changed the American waistline. And we haven't really recovered from that. When foods are fortified, it depends on what they're fortified with. So again, when we take and remove nutrients from it, whether it's fiber or the vitamins and minerals in it, in many cases, we fortify it with synthetic forms of those vitamins. Now, riboflavin, for instance, or thiamine, which is B1 and B2, those ingredients, whether they are synthesized in a lab or whether they are naturally occurring in the food, are truly riboflavin or thiamine. So when a food manufacturer puts them back in foods, they're just putting back the actual B vitamin per se. So fortification in itself isn't concerning when we're giving back the exact biochemical ingredient. What most people don't understand is that we're also adding in post-processing a bunch of other food additives that enrich the foods with flavor enhancements. So when you see things like natural flavors, texturized vegetable proteins, MSG is a food additive, we enhance those foods with chemical agents that make the foods taste richer. And what that does is, yes, it creates a food that we enjoy more. I mean, here's the reality. Nobody gets up out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning to go buy broccoli. But they will get up and they will go to McDonald's or they will go buy donuts because those foods are highly addictive. It's not just the sugar in them. It's also those additives. And those food additives dysregulate the controllers in your brain, that hypothalamus. They dysregulate your hunger centers and they drive the desire and the pleasure centers of the brain to drive to get more of that. The food companies know this. They intentionally do this and they intentionally add them to foods to create an addictive pattern. So that to me is way more concerning than even the organizations adding back vitamins that they actually stripped out. It's those additional food components that drive sort of the addictive patterns that people get stuck in. They don't even realize why they have to go to Chick-fil-A every day, or they have to go to McDonald's every day, or, that Doritos bag calls them every single day. It's all of those added flavor enhancement and obesogens that are added to those foods that turn on the addiction centers in our brain. The food substances added to foods, so for instance, probably the best known are things like MSG, monosodium glutamate. So that was created in Japan, and it was responsible for a flavor they call umami. So umami is, imagine whatever that is that you're eating. So it actually enhances the flavor of whatever you're eating. Essentially that umami flavor, and you get umami in foods that are fermented, right? So soy sauce, things like that. It naturally occurs a little bit in fermented foods, even foods we would consider maybe somewhat healthy. But when we synthesize it biochemically, we can often adjust even more. Well, essentially when we eat foods with that in there, it turns on the addiction centers in the brain, particularly the amygdala. So the amygdala lights up, and that's the one that says, oh my gosh, go get that. And it dysregulates your hunger control. And so essentially what happens is you crave and desire the food, and your body tells you you need to eat more. And we have hundreds of chemicals like that, and they're not really regulated. We have some regulation now, always in question as to whether that could get changed through the political climate, but we have some regulation on the word organic, right? But when you see things like natural flavors, natural ingredients, natural has no teeth to it. There's no regulation. That could come from any number of things. And so it's very misleading. Even in some of your holistic sort of grocery stores, there's a lot of gamesmanship that happens in the advertising and marketing that you see. And so, when you look at a label, the best thing to look for is, do you recognize most of the ingredients, right? And the less number of ingredients on a packaged food, the better off you are. Because that means the less likelihood for additive and the less likelihood that they stripped out nutrients and then had to add a bunch of things back.
It's becoming clearer every day that the food system on which we rely harms and gradually chips off our health. The multitude of chemicals, preservatives, flavor enhancers, and artificial sweeteners are not harmless. They are part of a bigger agenda at work. Dana Rosenkranz's struggle with cancer is among one of the many examples of how these chemicals potently and silently fuel disease. She revealed how these toxins have a cumulative effect in the body, compromising her immune function, interfering with regenerative cell turnover, and triggering inflammation. We cannot afford to be passive anymore. Now that we've learned that our very bodies are at stake, it's time to commit to revitalizing the health within our bodies. Strike while the iron is hot. We should be proactive and change our approach when it comes to the very fuel that our bodies require, food. Say no to GMOs, pesticide-laden crops, and say yes to nutrient-rich plant-based superfoods. Thank you so much for joining me in this very first episode of Healing Revolution. This is only the beginning of our fight for better health and demand for better healthcare. Hey there, it's Jonathan. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed creating it for you. This is my life mission, to give you tools that you need and deserve in your life right now. And Healing Revolution is exactly as the name implies. This is a healing revolution. This is about taking our health, our lives into our own hands. We clearly are not being taken care of by the system. And so we need a revolution. And that revolution is not one of war and bloodshed, but one of health and healing. And this is the revolution that you're a part of. You're an integral part of this. And I see this happen every day when people like you achieve that healing and you have tools and resources. You are the beacon of light to your community. And this is how we do it. It's not me, it's not my team, it's us, it's all of us. And most importantly, it's you. And so I'm here to equip you with the tools that you need for your own health and healing. People see change and transformation, and they get belief for their own lives, for their own health. People are watching you. And so my first thing is, like when you're on a plane and they'll tell you to put that oxygen mask on your own mouth first and then start assisting others. That's my encouragement to you. Put that oxygen mask on your own mouth first. Now, let's assist others and help others get the results and transformation that they need. It's simple. And so the best way to do that is to use these resources. You're watching this 24-hour screening, and You can own this episode and the whole series and the bonus episodes. It's an entire 12 episode series with 12 bonus episodes. That's 24 episodes, plus you've got the 60 full-length interviews. You're getting all of that when you make this amazing one-time purchase to get all these resources in your own membership area, as well as the printed transcripts, the USB flash drive, and so much more. And so this is a game changer, and I'm really grateful for you to be even watching this, considering this, because when you support our mission, you're helping yourself to the greatest extent. We're giving away so much here to make this a complete no-brainer, something that you don't even have to think about. It just makes so much sense to do this. But then secondly, we're able to get the support that we need so that we can continue this work, distributing this information for free. And so we're a small company, and we rely on people like yourselves to get behind us. And so one of the great tools that you'll get is this red light therapy belt, and it's super high quality and really fantastic in how it works. And you could strap it anywhere on your body. This is another way to configure it, right? So I could put this around my shoulder here. I could put it over my thyroid, right? And so I can get it over. I could put it over my face, even though, you know, there's face masks for this. But I'm just saying it's so versatile. And the key is to get red light to all these critical areas of the body, over the belly, for the belly fat, over the brain. You can actually do all these things. And again, these are tools that people are using, and the one that a lot of people are using it for is to take away pain over their back. And it's not just about temporary relief. People are actually getting long-term results, even putting it directly over your knees. You can get that red light therapy right to where it's needed. Do not hesitate to use that as it's needed all over your body. You could be watching your favorite shows. You could be watching this documentary while you've got this on. And if you're watching this and you don't have a red light therapy device on, in some ways you're missing out, because you could be getting the healing while you're watching the content. That's such a powerful combo. And it's not just health and healing for yourself, but it's for your whole family. Get this on your loved ones. It's a free gift that we're giving away. It's a $397 value, and we're giving it to you. And we're giving you also the 8 supplement protocol, which is activated by this red light, the Power-Free Detox, Gut Flora Pro, 15-day cleanse, kidney support, gut repair 360, gut cleanse, and liver support, and a second bottle of Power-Free Detox, as well as nattokinase. And this powerful combo is a detoxification regime that can help you get tremendous results. And it works in and of itself, let alone when it's activated with red light. You'll use this will take you through a 60-day protocol, and you can continue on the red light. And that's a $422 value that you're getting for free. So you don't have to pay for those supplements. You're getting them as gifts for you, for your health, for your family. So it's really simple, and all you do is just claim it here and now on the page. Claim these free gifts. You'll get all the master classes. You get the 10-day Healing Revolution Challenge. You'll get a free autoimmune health assessment, which is a one-on-one consultation with a health consultant, and that's a gift. And obviously the interviews, the episodes, as I mentioned, the uncensored expert-led master classes, which is Health Beyond the System, Healing from the Earth, Building a Cancer-Resistant Body, and Secret Science of Healing, as well as the 2 live master classes, which is Uninvited Guests, How Parasites Could Drain Your Energy and Cloud Your Mind, and Autism, ADHD, and the Immune System, Uncovering the Connection. So these are live master classes to attend, but they'll be recorded and in your membership area. So these resources are priceless, and it's why you could be spending thousands of dollars just to buy a course like this. But we're giving all these free additional materials, or the master classes, and then you're just paying for the series, and you're getting a 77% off discount on the series. So it's a game changer. You got the 5-part mini series and the 2 live Q&A recording sessions, all here for you. So much more. And the thing that touches me the most is seeing the results, the transformations people are getting with our supplements, with our information, and with our red light therapy products. It's nothing short of amazing. Just because it's a belt, don't think that it only is focused on the areas you put it on. When you put red light in your body, it's systemic. I can't even give the claims. We're going to share testimonials so you can see it firsthand. People are using these to get out of all kinds of pain that are based on certain diagnosed conditions, medical conditions. So I got to be careful what I say, but those are legitimate stories that we've tracked, and we did not pay any money for those testimonials. They're freely offered because these people want to share the result, because they're not living in suffering, and they were, and they're no longer in that place, and they want other people to get those results. These are game changers. Everything from chronic fatigue to neuropathic pain to cognitive challenges to even people using these for the big C word. And yes, there's all different tools. Red Life, we do have panels, we have all these things. But this is a staple, something that even if you have it already, you need it to have more. Why would you need more? Because you're connected to other people you love and care about. And if you've got somebody else that you love and care about using it, then you can't have it at the same time. So get one so that there's one floating around with your parents or your sister, your brother, or people that really need it right now. And then you perhaps get it back, pass it around to somebody else. People can order their products, but they need to get results often first. So it's really simple. Grab these amazing, powerful healing tools. They are game changers. It could make the difference between health and healing and a life of challenge, suffering, and problems. So claim it. Remember, we're very limited. We do have this available, and it's on the page. If you see this on the page, it means it's available. We have a lot of people tuning in. Hundreds of thousands of people are invited to watch these episodes that are actively subscribed to the work I'm doing. And so when you claim this here and now on this page, you're securing your position, your spot in that program. And I certainly don't want you to miss out on something that could be so transforming for you with all these amazing free gifts. Claim it here on this page, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode, and as well, especially in the bonus episode. Make sure to watch it down below. Thanks.